Here's a throw by Merton. It is a collision at the plate. And Pierzynski not only bangs into Barrett, bangs onto the plate, and here they go.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. We are back after a brief hiatus due to some work-related and just fun-related travel over the past few weeks from Matt here. So we are glad to be back with you all. There's been a lot going on, so let's get right to it. And this week, we will start with the White Sox, who are still making some noise over in the American League. So I'll turn it over to Matt to give an update on them.
Well, thanks, Kevin. And yes, it's very good to be back. When you're married to a teacher, you take all your trips in the summer, which is baseball season. But then literally getting back from about a 10-day trip to Europe, where I had to sleep during White Sox games and check the score when I got up. I had to hop on a trip to Dallas for work for about 4 days. So I am very happy to be back. And I'm even happier to report that the Sox are 11-9 since the last time we recorded. And that is without Murakami. That is, and I talked about before, that is facing the Braves, that is facing the Dodgers, the Guardians, the Yankees. Ironically, the team we struggled most against were the freaking Tigers. And we're in first place as of right now again. We split this last series with the Guardians. We should have honestly won probably all four of them. Which to me it's obviously a problem because I think we really need pitching help. At the same time, it makes me happy that we should have won these games because I think we're clearly the more talented team. We just couldn't get the job done for a couple games. We have Miguel Vargas, who is our lone All-Star Game representative. If you watch the video, you haven't seen the video of Will Venable announcing it to the team, have you?
No, I don't think I have.
So, first of all, I love these All-Star Game announcement videos. So, Sox fans will know. In 2022, it was Tim Anderson's last All-Star Game appearance, and he had. I think his first one was in 2021 or 2019 or something like that. And if you watch both videos, when they announced the All-Star Game representative for Tim Anderson in the earlier video, the whole team is so happy, so thrilled for him. And then in 2022, which was Tony La Russa's last year, there's just a sprinkling of almost sarcastic clapping. You could just tell how rotten that clubhouse was.
Yeah.
So it was very good for me to see Miguel Vargas being embraced by his team. They clearly all love each other. Will Venable is clearly the right guy to be leading them right now. So that was good. Honestly, I personally think there should be a couple more. I think Davis Martin not being an all-star, pitcher as of right now, who knows, maybe he gets in with an injury replacement or something but not being selected is kind of crazy. You can make the argument for Grant Taylor. You can make an argument for Colson Montgomery, even though he's been a little inconsistent. You can even make a Chase Meredith argument. So, Miguel Vargas absolutely earns it, especially after, have you seen that viral picture of him a couple years ago after the trade with the Dodgers? Because he came over from the Dodgers to the, last place Sox team. And I think it was them in Oakland, and he just looks like a depressed puppy.
Yeah.
Sitting in the dugout. It's and so this is great. While I was gone, Kyle Teal has debuted finally. I think he has something like 10 RBIs in 11 games, something like that. His average isn't great, but I think that'll even out. He is great. Edgar Caro was actually sent down to AAA, which, truthfully speaking, I think I told you this, he had a really bad start to the season. And he was honestly getting a little bit better ever since the Cubs walk-off home run, truthfully. But I get it. He needs consistent at-bats. He would just be the backup catcher, and Drew Romo has been serviceable as a backup catcher. I think we literally missed, it might have been the day after we last recorded was the big Braden Montgomery debut day,
Mhm.
which, I mean, hitting a walk-off home run called by Bob Costas on an 80s throwback night in your major league debut is pretty freaking cool, I must admit.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a
that
good way to
was
enter the league.
that was a moment. I shouted in my house, and my wife got scared upstairs. Um,
Nice.
it was awesome. Murakami is beginning a rehab assignment this week, so that is awesome. We may get him back before the All-Star break. He will be obviously a welcome presence, but he has been missed, but he has not been like gravely missed because a lot of these guys have stepped up, which is awesome. Um, this week we host the Red Sox and the A's. As of right now, they're losing 1-0 to the Red Sox because I have it on next to me. But it's been it has been fun. It has been sometimes frustrating, but they are still the best story in Major League Baseball right now. And you know, I'm having fun. They need pitching help, but I also don't want them to ruin their farm system for a shot at a deep playoff run because I know anything can happen when you get to the playoffs, but I think this team is a year away from like being a serious contender personally because I think
Mhm.
right now they are in the position they are because the rest of the AL just happens to be really really bad. Not that there's not some legitimate talent, but I think let's not throw everything at the wall here. I think. Um, but yeah, I missed watching Sox games, so I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be keeping up with the team, and it looks like there's another home run, so they're now down 3-0. So that's fun. Uh, so having a great time over here right now, and I'm gonna stop talking because apparently I'm bad luck or something.
Apparently. Damn. Well, it sounds like the White Sox are doing quite well. It's good to see. Kind of. I guess as a Cubs
Kind of,
fan.
right?
Yeah. No, it is. It is. They've just been so bad for so long. Like they just it's good for baseball to have both teams be good at the same time.
I mean, again, and we've talked about it many times. How many times has this happened in our life where both teams have legitimate playoff hopes
Like a
right
couple
now?
year, like a few year, handful of
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Um, and it is fun. It's fun for the city. I was wearing a Sox hat. I was like waiting for a coffee the other day, and like a guy came out and he's like, because I'm on the, I live on the north side, so people sometimes are still weird about like, you're a Sox fan, which I think is weird because there's so many Sox fans on the north side. There's so many Cubs fans on the south side. It's still
Right.
weird, but it's fine. He was old,
Yeah.
and and I was like, yeah, man, they're in first place. He's like, I know they are. It's awesome. I was like, hell yeah, good
Nice.
stuff.
Nice.
There's not a lot of things that bring people together anymore, but good baseball is one of them, it seems.
Yeah, sports have a way of doing that. I feel like
I
it's not
agree.
as controversial most of the time.
I agree.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for that report. So now we'll move
Absolutely.
on to the Cubs, who have been playing some pretty decent baseball as of late. I don't have the exact record in front of me, but they took 2 out of 3 against the Giants, Rockies, and Brewers. They split 2 with the Blue Jays. There was a postponement there. I think that was scheduled for sometime in August. Swept the Mets and the Padres, and only lost 2 series to the Rockies and the Cardinals since we last recorded. So obviously good to see, especially winning that series against the Brewers. That's a big one right now. That lead is still a 6.5 game lead in the NL Central for the Brewers. So the Cubs have some work to do, and it's not going to be easy, as I'll get to here in a second with all the injuries they have going. But
Yeah.
PCA had an incredible month of June. I believe he won Player of the Month, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I
I
saw
mean,
that
look, just
somewhere.
looking at his stats, if he didn't, he certainly
It'd
should
be
have.
very surprising.
Jeez.
So the stats that he is alluding to. So in the month of June, PCA went off for a 381 average with 11 homers, 20 RBI, 8 stolen bases for an OPS of 1249. He was on fire, definitely living up to that contract extension that he signed in the offseason. And in addition to him returning to an MVP level, Seiya Suzuki and Dansby Swanson have both been heating up, which is great to see. Especially Dansby Swanson. He has been rough to start the year, to say the least.
How many
But
RBI did Swanson have in that doubleheader? It was something like
he had
12 or
like
14
26
or
RBIs in 10
26.
games.
Jesus.
In 10 games, yeah, it's been crazy, honestly. I'm trying to pull up the stats here really quickly for the last like, hold on one second.
I mean, it's good that Swanson's been heating up because, like,
Oh, here we
he
go.
was never going to be like the most offensive shortstop, but he signed a big contract and he still has a few
So
years on it. Like,
Dansby Swanson, in the last 30 days, he's played in 24 games, which I assume is all 24 because he doesn't really take days off. He's hit for a 271 average, 9 homers, and 29 RBI.
pretty good.
He's averaging over an RBI a game in those
Well, I
last like
think that
24
doubleheader
games.
must have helped him because I mean, he had like, I mean, 12 or 14 RBI in those two games. Like that was, I remember reading about it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's really good to see. He obviously we know his glove is elite. He's a Gold Glover. He plays amazing defense. Him and Nico Horner, who I believe was an All-Star snub. Nico Horner gets no love around the league. But also congrats to PCA, who is the lone Cubs All-Star Game representative. I'm a little surprised. I guess I'm not that surprised. They've had so many injuries. I think like you could make an argument for like Seiya Suzuki potentially. Dansby coming on too late here, unfortunately, to even be considered. Um, I think Nico is probably the Cubs' biggest snub. Definitely none of the pitchers. Like all the pitchers have been too injured.
Right.
So it's but it's good to see PCA getting back into the All-Star game. I predict, assuming we have the All-Star game next season at Wrigley with the lockout, who
Yeah. We'll
potentially
get to
looming,
that.
who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, we'll get to that. But I really hope that PCA does the home run derby next season at Wrigley. I assume he's planning on it if assuming it gets hosted, and that's why he's not doing it this year. But man, that would just be so much fun to see.
Yeah. That would be, I mean, it's always really awesome when a hometown player participates. I mean, I still remember, I think it was the first year that they did the like the newer style of home run derby, which now I know they're kind of
They're getting rid of,
going
yeah.
away from. But was it? I think it was Todd Frazier with the Reds, and he won the
Mm,
home run derby. Like, and it was like one of the most epic moments. It was like I was like, oh, I didn't realize a home run derby could be this fun.
right, right. Yeah, that was the first year they switched from the outs to the timing, and now they're going back
Yeah,
to the outs.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know how I feel about it. I have to see it in action and
Yeah,
see
me
if
too.
it's good or not. Like the timing was good at first, but I feel like the last few home run derbies haven't been great. But I digress. Another player for the Cubs that's really been stepping up here, Javier Assad, with all the injuries. He is 3-0 with a 2.67 ERA, a .96 WHIP in his last about 30 innings pitched.
Mhm.
It is great to see. He was in AAA a lot last season. He has shown some really great flashes at times. He's been in the rotation at times. He luckily he has been stepping up quite a bit lately. And he's I think you see his confidence really growing. I think playing for Team Mexico in the World Baseball Classic helped. He's one of the few people who played that hasn't gotten injured since then.
Jeez, yeah.
I feel like there's got to be something to that. But anyway, that is good to see that Javier Assad has been pitching well here in the absence of so many people, which I'll get to here in a second. Matthew Boyd finally returned. In his first start back, he had a no decision, went 4 2/3, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, and that was against the New York Mets. So good to see him back in the rotation as well. But since we last recorded, which what date was that? Let's see. What date? That was June 8th. So that means I think I posted that episode on like June 10th. So since that last
Yeah.
episode, the Cubs have placed Jameson Taillon, Daniel Palencia, Edward Cabrera, Ben Brown, Phil Maton, Ethan Roberts, and Hobie Milner all on the IL. Matt Shaw returned and then went back on the IL. And Moises Ballesteros got optioned to Iowa because he was really struggling. And then in a move, because they just needed pitching, they acquired David Peterson from the Mets, who did look good in his first start the other day. So hopefully he can turn it around here in Chicago. Might just be a change of scenery type of guy. But as I've said, probably every episode that we've done, these injuries are going to kill the Cubs.
I tell
And
you,
you can
man,
see
I don't,
it.
I don't, I don't have that many IL spots on my fantasy baseball team. Like
Yeah, I mean it's insanity. Their pitchers are so injured, and it does make me wonder what are they do like what is the organization doing or not doing that is leading to this?
I,
Are
you
pitchers not
know,
getting enough work in? Are they getting too much work in?
I always used to wonder that too. The White Sox, when Herm Schneider was their kind of head trainer, seemed to have less injuries than like after he retired. But you know, I think it's just luck sometimes. I think it's a combination of luck and player effort. And I know I'm sure a lot of these players are giving effort. I'm still bitter about Eloy Jimenez and Yohan Moncada, like clearly not doing what's necessary to like remain on a major league baseball field,
Right.
consistently. But I'm sure the Cubs have to be up to date on, all the modern, training, rehab, massage, like all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it just sometimes it's just dumb luck, every year. Who knows?
You do wonder. I mean, I know like they've embraced that stuff in the past. I know when Jake Arrieta was on the team, they invested in Pilates machines because he was a big Pilates guy. So I know I believe that these players are getting the care that they need. And like Tommy Hotovy, who's the Cubs pitching coach, he's been around for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
he's survived managerial changes. I think he is a good pitching coach, but I mean, I've just never seen a team that has been this injury prone in one
Yeah, I
season.
mean, and we're still, I mean,
Like,
we're before the All-Star break. I mean, it's
yeah, and like this doesn't even mention the people who are already on the injured list.
yeah.
I mean, Justin Steele is still out, and it sounds like he probably won't return to the rotation this year. It sounds like he'll be more of like a long reliever when he comes back. Cade Horton's out for the year. I mean it's insane. I just can't believe how injured the Cubs pitching has been this season. Luckily, David Peterson did look good in his Cubs debut. I could see them trying to make a move, maybe getting a Freddie Peralta. I've heard
I'm
his name
sure the
thrown out
Cubs and
there for the
Sox will be
Cubs.
vying for a few of the same players because, I mean, pitching help is so sparse around the league. It's so sparse. It's going to be, Sonny Gray of all people is probably going to be like the number one trade target. Like,
Yeah.
who would have thought that a few years ago? And he's been excellent, and he's also an All Star Game snub, I believe.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
still a snub. My biggest snub was going to be Wilson Contreras, but he got named as a replacement like
oh, I didn't
just
see
like an
that.
hour ago.
That's good. Okay,
Yeah, he's replacing Guerrero, but Nick Kurtz is going to start at
gotcha.
first, which we'll talk about the All-Star game and my
Uh-huh.
qualms with the voting and everything. But the Cubs currently sit 6.5 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers for first in the Central. They are 1.5 games ahead in the wild card. So as of right now, they are in a playoff position. They're still within striking distance of the Brewers. I would like to see that get, by July 31st. Like I'd like that to be like 4 games or less to have like a realistic chance of catching them.
Yeah,
But again, but like a wild card is also fine. Like they just got to get in. That's how I see it. Maybe the pitching can get a little bit healthier by the time the playoffs roll around. Obviously, we're not going to have Cade Horton. I think Porter Hodge is also out for the season. There might be like one or two others. But yeah, the Cubs sit in a decent position as of right now, especially given all the injuries that they've had, and they seem to be surviving it. This week they're currently playing right now at Camden Yards in Baltimore. They are winning 1-0 in the top of the fourth. So that's good to see. So the Cubs are currently winning right there, and then they will travel from Baltimore to Cincinnati to take on the Reds, where historically speaking they've had some success. So that could be a good series to get the bats go, or keep the bats moving, and hopefully continue this little hot streak into the All-Star break. So that'll do it for our Cubs recap.
Before we move on,
Yeah,
Kev,
yeah.
one big thing we missed while we were on hiatus was both the Cubs and Sox had each a game where they scored what 22 and
Oh
23
yeah.
runs.
Yes, that's true. They're two of the three teams that have scored over 20 runs in a game this season. You're correct.
Unbelievable. So the last time the White Sox scored 20 runs, I was actually there, and I didn't realize this was the last time, but it was in 2006 against the St. Louis Cardinals,
Mm.
and one of the most fun games I've ever been to. I mean, everyone hit home runs. I remember. I got a Jim Thome shirt that night. It was great. Uh, but I just, I think that was one of my nights. I was still in Paris, and I went to bed. They like were just starting to play, and then I woke up and it was 22-1 or something crazy like that. I just like I think I literally like said out loud like, "Holy shit!" Like my
Yeah.
wife's like, "What is it?" Um, so I don't know, just a fun thing that's happened this season for both teams. It just doesn't
Yes, I did
happen.
forget to put that. I'm glad you
Yeah,
mentioned that. The
yeah, it doesn't happen
Cubs
all that often.
in their 20-run game, I think they scored like 23 runs.
Yeah,
They had 8 home runs, and Dansby Swanson had three of them.
yeah, wow,
So it was a hell of a game. I love a
yeah,
big offensive game like that every so often. It's just so fun to watch, and
it is.
especially yeah, if you're there too, it's just so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, something big that happened since we last recorded here. So now let's move on to MLB as a whole. The Mets fired manager Carlos Mendoza after a very slow start to the season. They currently sit in last place in the National League East after coming into the season with lofty expectations. Former Padres manager Andy Green has been named the interim manager for the rest of the season, I believe, unless they bring in like an Alex Cora or something like that. But I'm pretty sure he's going to be the rest of the season. I think the Mets are definitely going to be sellers at the deadline. I think Lindor might get moved. I've been seeing some things that him and Soto are not getting along.
I read that too, and Soto has a lot of time and a lot of money left on that contract.
Yeah, like I don't know who you trade Lindor to, but
I mean, they would have to eat a lot of his money.
yeah,
Um, and again, as we said, like I'm sure teams need shortstops and infielders and everything, but I think starting pitching is going to be the number one thing for any contender. Uh, so who knows? Maybe Lindor is included in like some other deal. I think teams are going to need to get creative. I don't know if it's like eating contracts to get better players or three-team trades or something like that. I'm looking forward to the deadline because I think it's going to be interesting this year.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
Um,
so too. There's
I
still a
think
lot of teams
Mendoza
in
was a fall
contention.
guy. He was not a great manager, and the fact that he was Aaron Boone's bench coach, who like you know, me and Yankees fans agree on very little, but like I think Aaron Boone is not a great manager,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Yankees fans certainly think he's not a great manager. Um,
I'm
I can't
surprised he's
believe
still there, honestly.
I can't believe he's like one of the longest tenured managers in the game right now, if not the
Right.
longest. I mean,
Right.
it's
And like why? He hasn't won anything.
I mean that begs the question of like if he did not hit that home run in 2003 for the Yankees, would he even be the manager right now? And the answer might be yes, because I want to believe that MLB ownership and general managers like Brian Cashman are smart enough to hire the right people. But I don't know. We've seen a lot. I mean, I'm speaking as a fan of that recently had Tony freaking LaRussa as a manager. So who knows?
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, Andy Green was extremely like mid manager for the Padres during that like weird time where they were like trying to be contenders and they fired I forget if he was before or after Tigler.
I think he was
Um,
after, or
yeah,
maybe he was
and like
before. Maybe he was before. I don't remember.
maybe he was before, but like anyway, I mean they're going to need to make some sort of splash in the offseason because
Yeah.
I'm sure Steve Cohen is beside himself the amount of money he has spent, and he's probably wondering. He wanted to be like the Dodgers, and yet they're the Mets.
It's not working. Yeah, he's I feel like they could blow it up at some point.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just you can't buy a championship
no,
in baseball. I feel like you have to develop players.
no, and
Uh,
that's what we say about the Dodgers because the
yeah.
Dodgers do spend a lot of money on these star players, but as you and I have said a few times, they also somehow have these incredible rookies come up every single year
Yep.
that no one's ever heard of. And guess what? Now they're an all-star. Now and so you have to be you cannot just spend the money. You have to be, good at player development as well.
Oh
And
yeah.
they prove that every year. And that's why the Brewers are so good every year now because they don't spend the money, but the player development is on point.
Yep.
So,
Yep. They know exactly what they're doing. I don't know how they
yeah.
do it every year. We'll get to that in a second here. Kyle Schwarber, former Cub, already at over 30 home runs for the season. Pretty crazy. How many do you think he hits?
Um I mean, so we're about halfway through the season.
Yeah.
I know bodies get tired a little bit in August, September, but I don't know. I mean, I he's not gonna hit 70, it sounds like. I think a few weeks ago people were maybe like talking like that, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But if he can be like if he can get to 62 or over, that would be a great story for him. And I also think if he gets to over 62 and he's, the first NL player to do that since Bonds, Sosa, McGuire, he is a lock for the Hall of Fame.
I think Kyle Schwarber could easily make the Hall of Fame, and that
I, I
makes
think
me,
I think he's I think he's a really good case right now. I mean,
yeah,
I think if he retired today, it would be interesting. I think like he needs to play a few more productive years. But if he hits somewhere in the 60s this year and like breaks some records and all that, he's probably getting in. And I hate to say he might be getting in as a Philly.
yeah. Then that makes me really sad because, God, the Cubs. I like
He
the
has a
fact
ring
they
with the
let
Cubs.
the fact they let him loose for nothing is what just it was just bothers me so much. The fact we
Yeah.
got nothing for this man and he could be a Hall of Famer. Through 88 games, he has 31 homers currently.
So
So he 60 is within reach
yeah,
for
definitely.
him. I'm gonna say he gets it. That he could reach the 62.
I think so too. I'm gonna say he hits 62. I'm gonna say he ties, you know, McGuire, Judge. Like I think he gets there. I think it's a good story. I think, as it gets warmer, it gets easier to hit. It's already gotten nice and warm. Like if he's a DH a lot of the times. Like, so if he gets tired, he can do that. Like I think there's a good shot. And I think
That is that
I'm
is
rooting
the
for him.
interesting part. I'm like looking at his stats right now. He when he was with the Cubs, he played like in the full seasons that he was with them, which was 2017 through 2020. He played in 129 games, 137, 155, and then 59 with the 60 in 2020. Since then, in 2021, he missed some time, it looks like. But since then, he has played in over 150 games in every season that he's been with the Phillies. And he played in all 162 last season.
I mean, he is a competitor.
Yeah. And you can tell he is he is in different shape than when he was like when he first came up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great player.
Remember
He's gonna be a
Kyle
Hall of
Schwarber, the
Famer.
catcher?
Yeah. I saw his first game as a member of the Kane County Cougars.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
great.
it got rained out, but he did take an at bat.
That's
There
great.
was one at bat, but the game wasn't official or anything. So good for Kyle Schwarber. I'm going to say he gets a 62.
Yeah.
Other notes from around MLB. Jacob Mizorowski of the aforementioned Milwaukee Brewers threw the fastest pitch by a starter in the StatCast era at 105.5 miles per hour. Wow, that is fast.
Do you know what inning that was?
That was in like it was to Pete Crow Armstrong. It was when they were playing the Cubs. I want to say it was like early in the game.
But like, it's just like, I mean, that's like what I always used to like get really impressed with, like Justin Verlander, that he would
Yeah,
literally throw harder as the game went on. So like the fact that like 105.5 miles an hour wasn't like the first five pitches of the game, like it's incredibly impressive.
yeah. I mean, when I watched Major League too, I know we'll get to that in a second, but there was the one scene where like he throws the fastball, right? And it pops up at what, like 98 on the radar? Was it, what did
Well,
it
it's I
say?
mean, it's when we watched the rookie too, and it's like everyone's
Yeah.
like going crazy that Dennis Quaid's throwing 95, 96. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny how it's like, man, that's like not even that fast anymore.
yeah, it's I mean, he is a stud, and again, just I don't really remember what his stats were like pre this year, but like again, it's the Brewers. The Brewers is just gonna get you trade one ace, another ace is gonna come up, and it keeps happening. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yep. So moving on from that, the Players Union and the owners exchanged proposals for the collective bargaining agreement, which does expire after this season. There are fears that there could be a lockout, as the owners have expressed a significant interest in implementing a salary cap slash floor system similar to what you see in other major sports in the United States. The owners, some of the things they threw out there, they want maximum 5-year deals for players, no deferrals, the salary cap floor, like I mentioned. So obviously some pretty big changes here. How do you predict this going?
Not well. That's how
Yeah, I
that's
know.
how I
Same.
that's how I predict it. I never ever want to side with billionaire owners. Some of the things I think they propose make sense to me. I think deferrals are just nasty, and like I don't know, it's just weird. We just celebrated Bobby Bonilla Day, and that's fun, but like, what are we gonna have? 15 Shohei Otani deferral days, after he retires? Like, I don't know.
He's
Um,
gonna get paid when those come
yeah.
around.
I think the Nationals are still playing Steven Strasburg. It's we it's I know it's a way for you to compete now and to sign a player, but not like bank the entire payroll on one player so you can build around. And that I understand. At the same time, yeah, the 5-year deal thing, I that's never gonna fly. And again, I see the logic in it, and I think these like 13, 14-year deals are crazy. Um, but the players union is never ever going to go for it. Salary cap and floor. I actually thought if there was going to be a salary cap and floor, that I forget the exact numbers that they proposed, but they didn't seem outrageous to me. In
Hmm.
fact, the salary floor seemed a lot higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Um, but I just don't think the players union is ever going to go for it. That is their, and again, I know every other sport has it, but that is just something I don't see them budging on, but I also don't see the owners budging. So get ready for a
My
full baseball at the movies podcast next year, because I don't think we're going to have much baseball to talk about.
Yeah, seriously, we're gonna have to figure something out. My like I don't want to stifle player salaries, but I think the competitive floor needs to be leveled in baseball. There is such a disparity between the low spending teams and the high spending teams.
Agreed.
And the players are saying, well, if you institute a salary cap, or, teams are going to cut salaries. But yes, but teams are also going to raise salaries because they need to meet the floor. So I would think that that balances out in the long run. Like, I mean, you see this in other sports, and I know you're more of a baseball guy than anything, but like in basketball and football and hockey, yes, like it's a double-edged sword. Like you have to make hard decisions, but there's more parity and more teams are competitive
Yeah,
consistently for the most part. And that's not true. You always have your Cleveland Browns and, your, just horrible teams that are never good, mostly because they have bad ownership. Jerry Reinsdorf. Um,
yep,
so, it's not, nothing is perfect. Nothing is going to be a perfect system. I think baseball does need to level the playing field a little bit, and get more teams competitive. Like I want to see teams like the Marlins and the Rockies and there's just these smaller market teams, maybe some expansion teams, make the playoffs more consistently and like get into the World Series and win championships. I mean, there are still so many teams who've never won a World Series in
yeah.
baseball.
I agree. There is a couple things from the owner's proposal that I liked. One
Hmm.
of them was I think you hit free agency quicker, and if you're over 30 with a certain number of years, you hit free agency. Um, I also liked the hometown discount or whatever they called it, in that it's maximum 5-year deal, but if you re-sign with your team, you can get 6 years.
Mm. Yeah, they
Um,
took that from the NBA has that.
okay, again, as
Yeah.
Kevin said, I am pretty much strictly a baseball guy, so my knowledge of other sports is so low for someone who is like co-hosting a sports podcast, but that's just me. That yeah, and like because one of the things I hate is seeing homegrown players leave because the teams can't afford them, and I know that's just going to be the reality of every sport and every team, but like any advantage that a hometown team can get to keep their homegrown players, I think is great. It's as much as I don't like the Royals because they're in the division, I love that Bobby Witt Jr. signed a big contract extension with them. You
Yeah.
know, and you know, at the time, it was nice that Mike Trout signed an extension with the Angels. I think he should get out of it because he's a once in a generation player stuck on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Um, but yeah, there's good and bad. I think the players union is just going to I don't see this ending well, and I see a pretty significant lockout unless one side really compromises. And I think it would
Yeah.
have to be the owners. The owners are the ones like wanting significant change, where the players want change but less change than the owners.
I really hope that one thing that gets accomplished in this CBA, allow teams to trade draft picks. All draft
Yeah,
picks are eligible to be
all drag because
traded.
yeah, they improved it a little bit, but yeah, it's uh you know I know, imagine again, not that I would want them to, but imagine if the Sox had their number one draft pick on the market right
Yeah.
now for a starting pitcher. Like it wouldn't, again, please don't do this, even in a fantasy scenario, but like imagine if that was the case.
Right, right. And it just creates more assets that are tradable, and every other sport allows it. Baseball is just very behind the times on that one. So I do hope that they allow trading draft picks. We'll see what happens. All-Star game voting was complete. They announced the starters for and the entire roster actually for the American League and the National League. We mentioned Miguel Vargas made it for the White Sox. Pete Crow Armstrong made it for the Cubs. Lone representatives for both teams. There were some snubs initially. Wilson Contreras was not initially named. He has been named now as of like an hour ago, replacing Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who was selected by the fans but will sit out the game due to a nagging injury. He's been struggling a little bit as of late.
I respect
Uh,
Vlad for doing that, by the way. I mean, he's an incredibly talented player, and you never know if you're going to get more All-Star game, but like if you need the break, take the one break you get in the season.
yeah, I think
Your team's
sometimes
in
you just have
contention.
to.
I respect that. My prediction is that because he's a starting pitcher and there always seems to be a plethora of starting pitchers that like are selected and then don't, you know, don't play they pitch on the Sunday before or whatever. I think Davis Martin will get in. I think he might, in my mind, he should be like the first runner up. And then Sonny Gray as well. Honestly, Sonny Gray was a big snub. So there's a few of them. I don't know. The All-Star game voting is always kind of a mess. You just see lots of Dodgers, you see lots of Blue Jays. Like I'm just thankful that they changed the All-Star game to meaning anything like it was when you and I were younger.
Right.
That
Yeah,
was
that was
really
stupid.
bad.
I mean, like you have like Andy Pages, starting outfielder from the
Yeah.
Dodgers. Pete
Like,
Crow
what's his
Armstrong
stats?
should, like, PCA should be starting.
Yeah,
Andy,
like fan voting is just like I
let's
to name the starters is always weird. I feel like it should be to like okay, if you get the votes, you should be an all-star. But to have the managers select the starters.
right. Yeah, I think that would be a good way to do it also. Chris
And
Sale
who
made
knows?
it.
It's Dave Roberts is the manager. Maybe he would select his own guy to be the starter. But like, yeah, PCA should probably be the starting outfielder.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, these are good rosters. I'm excited to watch this game. I mean, you have like Chris Sale, Kyle Schwarber. You got a few former Cubs and White Sox, Aroldis Chapman, Dylan Cease. But yeah, it looks like it'll be a good game. So that'll be taking place in Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park.
Did they
Um,
name the home run derby selection yet?
I know Ben Rice is one of them.
Okay,
I don't know.
I've been
I
so
don't think
informed.
anyone beyond him.
Oh, but yeah, I look forward to the game as well. I think it'll be very good.
Yeah, it'll be a good game.
We're now, by the way, we're
It's-
now old enough that like I have a distinct memory of watching an All-Star game at Citizens Bank Park, like as a kid.
They didn't.
Like,
Oh no, Veterans Stadium.
no, I think it was Philly.
I don't think they've hosted one there, have they?
I I
Oh,
could
maybe
be
they
wrong, but
did.
I think it might have been the year that Ozzie Guillen managed it, truthfully. Or like it was like 2005, 2006 or something like
Oh
that.
yeah. You're right.
Anyway, we're now old enough that I'm like remembering All-Star games at stadiums that are having it again, and that doesn't sit well with me.
We're old, is what that
Yeah.
comes down to. Then taking a look at the standings, the AL West is still pretty packed. Four teams within 6 games of first. The NL East, four teams within 7 games of first, and four of them are above 500. And then taking a look at the AL wild card, 7 teams are within 5 games of the last wild card, and 5 teams are within 5 games of the last NL wild card. So it's going to be a fun stretch. I'm excited. I think this will be great for the trade deadline. It should be very active with teams looking to add some pieces as they move forward. So that'll do it
Agreed.
for our MLB wrap up. So now we will move on to our baseball at the movies segment. And as we kind of already alluded to in this episode, our movie this week is Major League Two. Major League Two was released in 1994. It stars Tom Berenger as Jake Taylor, Charlie Sheen as Rick Vaughn, who also appears in Eight Men Out, Corbin Burnson as Roger Dorn, and a little bit of a change in the cast in this one, Omar Epps as Willie Mays Hayes, replacing Wesley Snipes, who did not return for the sequel. I think it was a contract dispute, I'm pretty sure. So that role was recast. A little bit of a summary of the movie. The Cleveland Indians, an endearing assortment of oddballs who improbably won the division championship last season, have since lost their edge due to personal pursuits and the excesses of fame. Rick Wild Thing Vaughn, Charlie Sheen, does lucrative endorsements, but his killer fastball is gone, while once aggressive slugger Pedro Serrano, Dennis Haysbert, has become a laid-back Buddhist. But as the players realize they've all gone astray, they rally for a shot at the World Series. This was one of 2 films released in 1994 to feature the Chicago White Sox as the arch rival team. The other was a movie that we've already covered previously, Angels in the Outfield.
It makes sense because in 1994, the year of the strike, and the Sox were really, really good, and they're coming off the 93 division champs. And so it makes sense that maybe they would be considered kind of a powerhouse villain team. It's also the colors, right? It's the White Sox and Yankees. It's like the black and the white, the stripe. It's good. It's good villain colors, and and I know Hawk Harrelson always called us the good guys, but not in 1994 apparently.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess not. Did it really get a 5% on Rotten
Yeah, so I
Tomatoes?
was gonna give you the trivia question of like, what movie do you think has a higher Rotten Tomato score? This or Major League 3? It's actually Major League 3.
Wow.
I don't know how many reviews. I assume this got more reviews than Major League 3.
Is this the audience score?
No, this is the critic score.
What's the audience score?
Good question. I know it's not as good as the first one.
No, it's definitely not as good. But I mean, you could say that about any movie.
I was shocked when I saw the Rotten Tomato score, though. I
That's
was
low.
absolutely shocked.
But I
I'm
always go
trying to
by the
see.
audience score, to be honest.
It has a 44% audience score, which is not good, but
That's
it's
better.
better than 5%.
Wow. And Major League Back to the Minors, I know we haven't talked about it yet, and we probably will at some point. That movie sucks.
Oh yeah, I mean this is a masterpiece compared to that.
Yeah. Yeah, like that is not like that. The critics are dumb if they think that
Well,
that movie is
so what I
better.
was reading was there's one big reason why a lot of people hate this movie, especially compared to the first one. It's the first one was a hard R movie.
Mm,
Profanity, nudity. This is not just rated PG-13. This is rated PG,
mm. I didn't notice that.
and it shows.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
that's
like
a
too family
big
friendly.
flaw. And like, what's funny is like you could have gotten the PG-13 rating probably, and maybe they aimed for it and they didn't get it. Who knows? But like, that's a big reason why I know this movie is really, and that was popular a lot with like 80s movies and sequels. Like I remember Police Academy. I think the first one was like a hard R, and then like their sequels were like PG-13. Like I don't really get it, but it
Yeah.
happens. Die Hard happened. Like I think Die Hard 4 was like PG-13, and it's a stupid thing. But I have a way to fix this movie though,
Okay. Which is?
which is I mean, the movie came out 5 years later, and they also like they're using Camden Yards to simulate Jacobs Field at the time, and like which doesn't make any sense because if you watch both movies back to back, it's supposed to be the next season and all that. I think this movie should have been set 5 years later, and I think the team did not win, the World Series, and like got close every year, but like when you get to this team, you just see like I mean, because you see, like, yeah, Willie Mays Hayes like now wants to be a movie star and doesn't like care about baseball. You see, Vaughn is slower and a little more, straight. And I think like this being just 6 months later doesn't make any sense for these characters. Pedro
Yeah.
Serrano like going to be a laid back Buddhist, like if this took place 5 years later, I'd buy it more. And then it would be this team rediscovering the mojo. But that would also show like I actually really like Randy Quaid's part in this. I probably never said that sentence out loud. Um, but like he starts as like we are going to win this whole thing. I'm so excited for the season, and then he just gets like more and more depressed, more and more depressed. That like he literally, even when they start doing well, he's like, no, they're just going to break my heart. And it's a stupid role, and it gets stupid. But like I like the idea of it, but I think it would have made more sense if if like a character like that was like saying it every year for the last 5 years, and then he
Yeah.
just got broke at the
Right.
beginning of this movie.
Yeah. It's like
Um,
they were just good the season before, but now all of a sudden he's like off the bandwagon.
well, and there's just so many changes. Like, and
Yeah.
I get it; it's 5 years later, so it's like okay, Roger Dorn retired, even though he seemed to be a pretty decent third baseman last year.
Hmm.
And he's now the general manager. Uh, you have the new stadium. You have like, yeah, it's just a lot of change for like just 6 months. I think The movie comes out 5 years later, set it 5 years later, set it 3 years later, something like that.
Yeah.
I think that would have fixed a lot of my problems. I also really like the character of Jack Parkman, the Cleveland catcher who becomes the White Sox catcher. He is like
Hmm.
one of the most like despicable characters like introduced. And then I really also like the character of I think his name Rudy, the catcher,
Yeah.
who can't
Oh,
throw
Rube.
the ball back to the pitcher.
Yeah.
That's a good bit in this movie. I like that. Yeah, I think it's decent. I can't believe it's 5%. It's not one of my favorite baseball movies. It's not like an all-time classic like the first one, but like it's much better than 5%. I also want to say like Omar Epps as William H. Hayes, like he's again kind of like the movie itself. He's not as good as the original. He's not as good as Wesley Snipes. He does a very serviceable job.
Yeah. I think he plays the role well.
Yeah,
He's
like I
definitely a
think it's
better
fine.
baseball player. They said Wesley
Yeah, I'm
Snipes could
sure.
not
I'm
play
sure that was
baseball.
like one thing when they cast him. It's like, well, okay, we're not going to have Wesley Snipes. Let's find someone who can actually like play baseball.
Yeah, seriously.
So anyway, I like this movie. I've always liked this movie. It's. I'm not even going to say it's a guilty pleasure. I knew it wasn't as well received as the first one. I just couldn't believe when I looked on the Rotten Tomatoes like page that it had 5% and that Major League 3 has 22%.
That is insane. That is
Yeah.
insane to me. I don't understand that at all. Major League Back to the Minors, it was like a direct to DVD or direct to VHS
I don't know
movie.
if it wasn't direct to DVD, it feels like it, or
Yeah.
VHS, whatever.
I think it was like a direct to video movie. I'm pretty
It's
sure.
bad, and it
Yeah.
stars Scott Bakula, like and I like him from Star Trek and everything. But we'll get to that movie eventually, maybe when we like hate ourselves
Yeah.
enough to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. So that brings me to my next question. What is our next movie if we're not going to do that one since we've done the
Oh,
Major League 1 and 2. So let's see what's next on the list. 42?
oh yeah, which we should have done back in April, but yes, that we can do
Yeah,
that.
we probably should have like scheduled these out a little bit better, but I just kind of came up with a list of movies and we're just going in that order that they
Yeah,
popped
we
into my
should have done
head.
Sandlot for 4th of July. There's a lot of things we could have done. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Well,
We do them
what'd you think of
eventually.
this movie? You didn't even say
Oh
you're
yeah.
like my beef
I
rating by
like
the
this
way.
movie. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
My beef rating by the way is like a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's not bad. It's still okay.
Yeah. It's like you said, like it's not as racy as the first one. It's just it doesn't hit with the jokes as well. Obviously they returned most of the cast, so that's good. You had some good performances. I think Charlie Sheen plays, his character well, and the transition going from like straight lace back to Wild Thing. Um, but like, and it does have some funny parts, like where they all fight each other in the
That's a good
dugout.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, and the entire team gets ejected. Um, I think Parkman is a good character that they developed pretty well, and making him the villain. You're right. Like, I think drawing out the timeline would have helped a little bit. Because you're right. Like a lot of changes happen, and it's like, okay, there's no way like all these things happen in one off
Well, like
season.
okay, Jake Taylor probably like he tries out for the team again, doesn't make it, so they offer him a coach. That's the one thing that makes sense to happen because he was already old in the first movie.
Yeah,
And then he becomes, of course, the interim manager when Lou Brown, has a heart attack. By the way, great scene to parallel the first one where Jake calls Vaughn out, from the bullpen, and it's Rudy saying, "You want Vaughn?" Just like Jake said in the first movie. Like
yeah,
that's a good moment. I like when sequels, can give a good callback to the original like that.
yeah. And I like the bit with Coach where like he's in the hospital and like listening to the radio discreetly, and he's like, "Oh, I love this British shit."
Yeah. Oh, there's
Uh,
also a very famous quote from this movie. I think it gets misinterpreted from the first movie, but this is the movie where it's Lou Brown saying like, "We won a game today. If we win, or we won yesterday, we win today, we win tomorrow. That's called a winning streak."
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I hear that quoted a lot, and I think people think it's the first movie, but it's actually from this one.
That is a great line. It's
Yeah.
it's so good. Yeah, no, it's a good movie. I would give it, probably I'll give it like 2 3/4 Italian beefs out of 5. It's not as good as the original. It's still funny. It's still a movie that I'll watch if it's on, or I'll just like turn it on sometimes. But the first one is way better for sure. But that being said, this is a worthy sequel. And I think it is, if you like the first one, it's worth watching this one. Just lower your expectations a little bit, especially with the jokes and everything, since as you mentioned, it goes from an R to a PG rating. That is wild to me. Why would you strive for that
Same
after
writer,
releasing
same
a hard
director. I mean,
R?
it has to be a studio mandate. It has to be a we want to make more money. I think now our R-rated movies get a lot more people in seats because people go to event movies. I think back then I mean, you saw it all the time. Like you really want to hit uh, a certain demographic to get more families in seats and everything. And maybe they're thinking it's a baseball movie, it should be attracting
Yeah.
families, but you lost one of the big charms of the original, sadly.
Right, right. Yeah, interesting. Huh. Well, still a good movie, still worth watching. But that is our baseball at the movie segment this week's. Tune in to our next episode where we will profile 42, which discusses Jackie Robinson and Breaking the Color Barrier, a really excellent movie starring Chadwick Boseman, the late Chadwick Boseman. So I'm looking forward to discussing that movie on our next episode. But I believe that'll do it for this episode of the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. We really appreciate all of you tuning in. Make sure to give us a follow, like, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify at Crosstown Baseball Podcast. And you can follow us there on Facebook and Instagram as well. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you on our next episode of the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. And as always, go Cubs.
Go Sox!